Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 8. Finally, we are back to analyze this Serie A more open than ever, I would say, with Daniele Fisichella. Ciao, Dani.
Ciao Edu, yes, it is more open than ever, and we got Napoli and Atalanta at the top, so a little bit of surprise there. Two teams in crisis, Juventus and Inter, and lot to look forward now between now and the start of the World Cup.
Perhaps this is finally the year of Napoli, of Atalanta, who knows, maybe the Roman teams, Lazio and Roma, at least to challenge for the Scudetto, but this is a long way. Let's analyze this match day with Dani and with you guys. Remember to leave your comments and, of course, support us, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with our show. International break, good actually for Italy. So many players will have the good hype after qualifying Italy for the semifinals of the Nations League, and many young players. So perhaps we see this reflection in the games. And on Saturday, we have the Champions League teams playing. The first game is the leader, Dani, Napoli. Torino, Napoli, they are on fire, or they were on fire before the international break, beating Milan, remember, 1-2 with AC Milan scoring the winner. Last 5 games were victories, and they are playing at Torino that started the season very well. They are now with back-to-back defeats against Sassuolo and Inter. Perhaps, Dani, a bit unfair, actually, these results for Torino.
Yeah, I think they deserve more because they lost the 2 games 1-0 with very late goals. With Inter, Andanovic made a lot of saves against Sassuolo. I don't think they deserve to lose. A little bit of lack concentration at the back in the dying moments of the games, and they lost the games, you know. So yeah, a little bit unfair. The goals have dried up a bit for Torino. They haven't scoring much, but you know, the project of Juric continues. A very aggressive team. Technical team as well in midfield and up front. Tough trip now to the Maradona because Napoli are unbeaten in 11. I think Napoli were a little bit lucky against Milan. Milan deserved more, but you know, the weapons that Napoli have, technical players, quick players up front, Kvaratskhelia always taking people on. And you know, not many teams have got in Italy. I think the starting 11 of Napoli is as good as anybody else. Now they are unbeaten, Napoli, in the last 11 games, going back to last season. Last season, actually, unbeaten, and I think the foundation of this Napoli are very strong, very organized, good defense as well, best attack of Serie A, 8 different goal scorer, and the national teams give back to Napoli a Raspadori in form with 2 goals against England and against Hungary. And you know, a lot of players that are in form. Of course, Napoli still without Osimhen, still without Politano, who picked up an injury, and in midweek they got a very tough game away at Ajax. For Torino, there is the return of Miranchuk, which is going to help them, and they only scored 2 in the last 4, Torino, so they need to pick themselves up. It might not be a very high scoring game, this one, also because you know, Napoli, they always have a good record against Torino. They are unbeaten in the last 10 home games against Torino, unbeaten in the last 14 games against Torino, so they could do with a low margin victories. I think that the bookies expect a few goals, but not too many. Under 2.75 goals, 185.
Not many goals in the Maradona. On Saturday, we have a great game. Inter Roma, with Inter, as you say, Dani, a bit on crisis after losing against Udinese. They are playing really badly when they are playing away, but at home they won them all 3 games this season. Were victories in the Champions League. Remember, they have a very, very tough game and important against Barcelona, whereas for Roma, they played very well. They deserve it more, probably against Atalanta. They didn't have Dybala. They created many chances, but at the end, this game is about scoring goals. And also, Dani, if we go into the stats in the head-to-head for Inter and Roma, last 4 games were Inter victories.
Yeah, and Inter is unbeaten in the last 10 games against Roma and the last 5 games played at San Siro, including a couple of cup games as well. Look, this is a game against two teams that do produce a lot. The issue with Inter is that they do produce, but they do concede far too many goals. 11 goals conceded. If they keep the same track at the end of the season, they would have conceded 60, which is the same amount of goals that Genoa conceded last season, and Genoa got relegated. Some people might wonder why all the effort to keep Skriniar this summer if then the defense concedes so many goals. The Skriniar is not the problem. I think the problem is that Inter have lost a little bit of tranquility, a little bit of serenity with everything going on at the club and the future that is very uncertain. They lost a little bit of hunger, maybe, after last season and the way they lost the Scudetto. And I think they still got a problem on the left-hand side where Gosens hasn't convinced. Di Marco's doing really well with the national team. Let's see if he's going to be the new Perisic for them. But so far, very, very difficult for them and obviously keeping the defensive shape. I think with Roma, the same story. They do create a lot. Actually, they are the teams that in terms of expected goals have got the highest, 14, but they only score 8. They need to be more clinical. Only by being more clinical, they will be able to put away top teams. Still, they haven't beaten a top teams this season. Last season, they did a lot of struggle against those. And against Atalanta, Roma did really well. They were unlucky, but sometimes the games are really small margins. A bit of injuries concern for Inter. They are without Brozovic, the key man, the man that is so important for them. He picked up an injury with Croatia. He's going to be out for a month. And last season, when Brozovic wasn't there, that's where Inter lost the Scudetto. Is it going to be a chance for the young Aslani, the young Albanian, 20 years old, very good talent, but has played only 29 minutes so far this season for Inzaghi? Let's see if he goes for him or if he goes for experience. Roma, they will have Dybala because he hasn't played with Argentina, so he's not going to be on the bench. He's going to be starting, and probably also Zaniolo. Mourinho, by the way, it is suspended. Let's see what kind of Roma will see. Will they go on the front foot? I think they will. I think they will try and attack Inter and exploit them. Only also if Roma have only lost 3 of the last 5, but I think they're going to go here with the confidence very high. Some people in the comment are suggesting over 2.5 goals. Yes, I'm going to go for over 2.5 goals, which is 188. Decent. If you want to combine it, as Abdul is saying, as Tebogo is saying, with a both to score, you get even higher odds.
Yeah, they are asking you both. Actually, they are both going for both teams to score an over 2.5 goals, even if Roma, they are misfiring a lot, especially Tammy Abraham, that we are not seeing the same Englishman as we saw in his first season in the Serie A. For Sarwar is draw no bet for Roma. This pays great. But as I said, be careful with the stats and the head-to-head between these two teams. Roma, draw no bet 2.7, and always the doubts that we have with the Giallorossi, Danny, when they are playing against big teams. Even when they played against Juventus, they didn't deliver. They got
the first
draw
half
against a very poor Juventus. Exactly.
Yeah, the first half Juventus could have scored 2 or 3. So, you also have to take that into account. And also, I forgot to say, Lukaku is back.
Great game, this Inter-Roma, and on Saturday we also have the other team of Milan. We have Empoli. Milan, as we were saying, they are out of the Champions League spots. They are 5th in the standings after that the defeat against Napoli. Also, they have to be focused in the Champions League. The doubts, Danny, is when Milan is playing away. They are not playing great. They only beat Sampdoria, and they were very lucky, and we know how Sampdoria is playing this season. And this Empoli is getting a little bit better. Only 1 defeat in the last 6 games, being very competitive lately.
I don't think this is as straightforward as the odds suggest. It's true, Milan away this season has suffered against those teams that have got a very high rhythm or good technical players. For example, the game at Salzburg, they did struggle initially. I don't think Empoli is as good as Salzburg, but they're getting better. This is the second youngest team in Serie A, by the way. They are improving. They are creating chances. A good away win at the previous weekend at Bologna. So I think Empoli are going to create Milan some problems, as they did with Roma when they played at home. They hit the post twice. But never underestimate Milan, their organization, their team spirit, the fact that they got some of the best players in Serie A. Take Tonali, take Leao, of course, who's returning from suspension. So, Milan, you can't just write them off because they had a bad day against Napoli, when I think they were massively unlucky as well. But there are some injury concerns for Milan here. They are without Magnan, the keeper. They're going to miss him because he's been outstanding, for example, in the derby, but they're also going to miss his distribution with the feet and with the hands. It's really important. So he's going to play with Tatarusanu, the second goalkeeper, who last season was brilliant, by the way. So I'm not concerned about his goalkeeping, but more how Magnan organizes the defense and distributes the ball. They're going to be without Kjaer, he picked an injury with the national team, without Teo Hernandez, without Florenzi, without Origi, probably without Rebic as well. So, already the team is a little bit depleted. We're going to have to see more of the fringe players. We'll see Pobega. We'll see probably Serginho Dest. We'll see Vranks. So, let's see how good is Milan squad so far. Because, again, they play Chelsea in midweek. But they go to Empoli, where they normally have won the last three. So, obviously I can understand why they're favorites. But Empoli, I think they will be playing on the front foot. And there is a very interesting stat. Empoli are fourth for corners taken, on average 6.2 per game. So I'm going to go for the corners market, which is a new market you can find on Oddspedia. I'm going to go for over 10 corners. Could be 5 each. Milan could have 6. Empoli could have 4. Or obviously, to win, you need to have 11 corners so far in the game. 189. So if there's only 10 corners, you get your money back anyway.
What about both teams to score, Danny? It's around 1.9. 5 out of the 7 games of Milan ended with both teams to score. 4 out of the 7 for Empoli ended both teams to score. Wanchuk is asking you this question.
Empoli are not great at keeping clean sheet, and last season were one of the worst teams in terms of clean sheet kept. And Milan defensive record so far has been suspect. Positionally, sometimes the defender had not been really good. And obviously, I mentioned, they're missing Magnan as well. It is a big miss. Yeah, both to score. It could be your speculative one if you like.
Well, Milan double chance, win and draw for Teboga. These odds are very low if you go for that. Young doesn't trust Milan as well. Goalless draw, in his opinion. And Young is also pointing that Giroud and Leao, very important for France. Leao played a lot of minutes in the international breaks. This is a problem in this match day around Europe. This is a match day in between Champions League and international break, so usually we see so many surprises in this kind of match days. Let's see if we see surprise as well in Lazio Spezia, because the odds point us to a Lazio victory, and also the form of the Celeste, because they thrashed Cremonese 0-4. Immobile, he's not forgetting about scoring goals. Lazio strong when they are playing at home, and Spezia, Danny, they've lost all the away games against Inter, Juve, and Napoli, all big teams. It looks like they focus into winning the winnable games, and they are doing that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the new Spezia with Gotti. Winning the winnables, win at home. They are unbeaten at home. And by doing that, they'll be safe, because last year, this game finished 6-1. By the way, Lazio were far much better. And Lazio had a great reaction against Cremonese after the horror show in Denmark against Midtjylland. But there is a question mark.
As you said.
As
you said, by the way.
As I said, yeah. Some people say you're always getting it wrong, Danny.
No,
you should say sometimes you get it wrong. With the doubt of Immobile for this one. Be careful, because Immobile hasn't played with the national team. Is he really injured? Did he got a call from the Lazio camp to say you better don't get on the plane to Budapest? We don't know. Look, we don't speculate. But if there is no Immobile, Lazio might struggle, because really they don't have a replacement for him. Only the young Cancellieri hasn't scored yet so far this season, hasn't played very well. They are the second best attack. Milinkovic-Savic is in great form. Zaccagni is in good form. Anderson is delivering. Pedro is scoring when he comes on the bench. So all looks good so far for Lazio. 12 goals scored so far at home in 5 games, considering also the Europa League game. Now, Spezia. This is the best start of Serie A. They won against Sampdoria. Great character. I think the fact that they got Nzola back last season, he wasn't playing because he hasn't really had a good relationship with Thiago Motta. He helps. Big center forward, physical presence, can get on the end of crosses, etc. But so far this season, when they travel away, they lost 3-0 to Inter, 2-0 to Juventus, 1-0 to Napoli. So that's 6-0 already. Can they actually score away? Can they actually be proactive? And also, if you look at the stats of Spezia, they create very little. They are bottom for shots on target. They suffer a lot. The keeper makes a lot of saves. Drangoschi against Sampdoria was amazing. So they are overperforming, really. If they don't get a balance, I think, especially away against top teams, they're gonna suffer here. There is no value in going for Lazio to win. There is almost no value to going on the Asian handicap. You need to go for Lazio to score in both halves, 2-10, to get a little bit of value here, and have a nice bet. So yes, Lazio to score in both halves, first and second half, that pays 2-10.
We are seeing the head-to-head between these two teams. We see goals. Both teams to score is 1.9. And Lazio, Danny, some people are asking you if you go over with Lazio, or perhaps this depends on Immobile being on the pitch or not.
It depends on Immobile being on the pitch. Huh? It depends. If you look at Lazio Verona, finished 2-0, first half was 0-0, a little bit of drab affair. Check the lineups before you bet, but maybe Lazio to score in both halves, I think it's easier than over 2.5 goals, because Spezia might not contribute to goals at all.
Well, maybe Mancini got a call. Don't put Immobile. Tite said that he received a call, actually, from Xavi Hernandez not to put Rafinha on the pitch, and then Rafinha played. Actually, because the managers can do whatever they want. Of course, next game in the south of Italy, Lecce Cremonese, the scary game of this weekend, together with Sampdoria Monza, two newly promoted teams. Lecce got the victory against Salernitana, so they are out of the relegation and doing better than this Cremonese. Danny, 2 points, still no victories, trashed by Lazio 0-4. Doesn't look well for Cremonese. That they received many compliments at the beginning of the season because they were playing well.
Yeah, they're both receiving many compliments, deservedly, because, newly promoted team, playing on the front foot, playing attacking football, but these teams could together with all the compliments they received, because if Salernitana, Spezia, Monza pick up points, there aren't any other team left they can actually play against for the relegation. But, Lecce has to be admired. It's a very young squad, the youngest squad in Serie A. They play with 4-3-3, and they got exciting players up front. One for all, I think, is Strefezza, who knows deliver. He's got the is back from an injury. He's gonna start. Then you got Cissé, and you got a few midfielders that are also good, like Højlund, for example. But they haven't won at home yet. Although I think they deserve to win against Monza. They should have had a penalty. Massive mistake from the VAR and the referee. Cremonese only 1 point away. They have no wins, as you said rightly, alongside Sampdoria, and they have the worst defense of Serie A. 14 goals conceded, average 2 per game. Against Lazio, they were really played off the park. Difficult to judge this one, because normally when two teams are attacking, but at the same time, this is a 6-pointers, it could be a drab affair. They might be happy with the point. We had to go to the head-to-head. The last 4 meetings of these two teams were in Serie B. They've been all over 2.5 goals, and 3 out of 4 have been both to score. Go for over 2.5 goals again to find the value, 208. Although any of the full-time market really is very good value, but it's very difficult to pick.
Yeah, perhaps as Radek is saying, the draw strategy could be good for this game or for the next one. Sampdoria Monza, you went for over in Lecce Cremonese. Sampdoria Monza, the two teams with less goals in the Serie A, only 4 goals for both sides, and this is a match ball for Sampdoria, and probably Danny also for Gianpaolo. He was backed, but if he doesn't get a victory against Monza, he could be in trouble. At home, Sampdoria, they've been competitive with draws with Lazio and Juve, but it's the time for the victory against Monza. That what a victory against Juventus. Yes. They were celebrating it as a title.
What a way to win your first ever Serie A game against Juve at home and playing better football. They had a lot of chances. They were the better team. They should have scored maybe at least 2 games. And, with a new manager, Palladino, only 1 week in charge, and he set them up well. a very good technical midfield with Sensi, Pessina, and Rovella, probably better than the midfield of Sampdoria. Two good strikers up front, Caprari, Dani Motta, few replacement, and a good defense. I think Pablo Mari, Marlon, and Izzo are very experienced. So this Monza side, now with the new manager, maybe they can get a good kick on and start the season and finish where everyone thinks they should finish. So not in the bottom three. The numbers of these two teams are still awful. Monza have conceded 14 goals, Sampdoria 13, Monza only scored 4, and same as Sampdoria, so the worst attack of Serie A. With Sampdoria, the question is, why don't they attack a little bit more? Why don't they attack as they did in the second half against Spezia, where they forced a lot of saves from Dragoschi? Now, I've seen Gabbiadini playing for the national team after 5 years. He didn't do very well, but at least he could start for Sampdoria up front with Caputo and with Sabiri behind them, and maybe drop Juricic or alternate Juricic and Sabiri and go with 2 up front. They need to score more goals because they concede far too many. Only 1 clean sheet in 7 for Sampdoria. I can't see them really troubling Monza too much, especially if they go only with 1 up front. I'm going to go for an Asian handicap 0 in the first half for Monza, which pays 224. So Monza Asian handicap 0 in the first half, 224. So if Monza wins the first half, you win the 224. Otherwise, if you draw, no worries, money back.
All right, Wanchuk is saying the same actually, but in the full time, going for draw no bet for Monza. Perhaps this is good also, Dani, for an under 2.5 goals, since they are the worst attacker.
Yeah, it could be, but Sampdoria have created something. Normally, at the end of games, I think they hit the bar and the post 5 times already this season, second only to Roma. So at the end, when things are desperate, they do manage to create something. They don't start games very well. So it could be over. It could be over. Okay. I don't know.
Actually, the bookies don't know as well. It's basically the same, under and over. Next game is a flip of a coin, indeed. The next game, Sassuolo Salernitana. Sassuolo is one of these teams that we don't like to bet on because they are very unreliable, difficult to know what they are going to do. They beat Torino in the last game, only 2 victories this season, whereas for Salernitana, they started well the season. They are doing great games, but they disappointed us by losing 1-2 against Lecce, Dani.
Yeah, they went toe-to-toe with Lecce. I mean, it was a very open game, and in the end, it was decided by the brilliance of Strefezza, but I think Salernitana could have won it as well. So yeah, I think they've been unlucky, really, Salernitana, in the last couple of weeks. They should have won at Juventus. They didn't. Okay, the goal was disallowed, should have stood. Against Lecce, they should have picked up a point. A lot of positive things from Salernitana. They are unbeaten away, 3 draws. They scored 10 goals already, Salernitana, this season, so many more than last season at the same stage. And they play Sassuolo, which very strangely have kept 4 clean sheets already this season. This never happened with Dionisi before, with the Zerbi. 4 out of 7 Sassuolo games have been under 2.5 goals. And you wonder, have they become defensive masters? No. They don't score enough because there is a lack of goal. They're without Raspadori. They're without Scamacca. Berardi is out, so they don't score enough. And I think they're trying to keep it tighter at the back and defend more. They don't go, they don't push forward as they used to do because intelligently they understand they cannot score more than 2 goals per game. And, for this game, they're without De Frel. They're without Berardi. So I can't expect a lot of goals here, although Salernitana, it is a team that likes to attack. They are 3rd for crosses, thanks also to Mazzocchi and Candreva, who are brilliant wingbacks at the moment. I'm going to go for an under 2.75 goals, which I think is also conservative, 2.05. So if there are 3 goals in the game, you only lose half your stake. Only 2 goals in the game, you win 2.05.
Next game in Bergamo, Atalanta-Fiorentina. Atalanta second in the spots. It's a new fashion Atalanta, getting ugly results, but get very pragmatic getting the results. They beat Roma, the last home game where they usually have problems. At least last season was a draw against Cremonese, and this Fiore, Dani, finally they got a victory after 8 winless games.
This is another weird one, I think, because Atalanta are the best defense of Serie A, something that we never said before, that we would never imagine in million years. This is the best start of the season. They pick up so many points. And it is weird, really, because the numbers of Atalanta, they say the opposite, that they are playing very good. I know someone suggesting Atalanta to win easily. Not sure, really, because if you look at the way they're playing and the chances they're conceding to the opposition, they've been really, really lucky against Roma. It was a smash and grab situation. One goal from Scalvini, and then everyone at the back. The other games, they really haven't pushed, especially with the wing-backs. What was very good from Atalanta in the previous season, they had the two wing-backs with Gosens, without a ball. They were basically attackers. Now, Zappacosta and Mele, they're not pushing forward at the same time. I think it's because Gasperini knows that he hasn't got yet the system right, so he's trying to keep it a little bit tighter. There are a lot of options in attack, but I think still Gasperini hasn't worked it out who should play where. Plus, they got a lot of injuries to deal with. Zapata and Muriel are going to be on the bench. They're going to be without the keeper, Musso. At the back, they're missing Jim City. They're missing Palomino. So, be careful with Atalanta. I like the fact that they are going more pragmatic. They're becoming harder to beat with the same intensity, but I don't think they're going to score a lot of goals in this one as well. Malinowski, very hit and miss, even with Ukraine. I think the talent is there, but it's really difficult to understand when it's going to turn up. And now Fiorentina, again, another bit of a mystery here, because the numbers say they are doing all the things great. They are fourth for shots in total, first for corner, first for possession in the opposition half. They only scored one goal in the last 4 away games, scoreless in 3 out of 7 games in Serie A. So you wonder, where is all this possession going? Nowhere, because they've been so inconsistent. But if things click, things change. Let's not forget last year, Fiorentina were a very good team to watch. Okay, they had Vlahovic, and now neither Cabral nor Jovic are really stepping up. But things could change very quickly for this Fiorentina side, which I think have got a very good midfield with the addition of Barak as well. Upset on the card for me, this one. Double chance, X2, 195.
Poof, this is very tough, and the odds show us this one. Double chance for you. Yeah. For Marco is a super draw. This one, draw at halftime and full time, can be a good option as well. More complicated, in my opinion, is the over 2.5 goals for Teboga, or even more difficult for Abdul. Both teams to score in the second half, and the book is actually same. They don't agree, or they are not sure, because the over and the under 2.5 goals pays exactly the same. Two, and we have to remember, as Danny said, that Atalanta only conceded 3 goals in this Serie A, and Fiorentina scored only 7 and conceded only 6. So, on the contrary, as we saw last season, they are not really fun teams to watch, at least in terms of goals yet. This Atalanta and this Fiorentina, that last season we would say a goal feast. And they are not really fun to watch, Atalanta and Fiorentina. What to say about Juventus, Bologna? I guess even with international break, the Juve supporters haven't forgotten that performance in Monza with Di Maria sent off, with all the noise that is around Allegri. Now they have this game that should be easy, and again they play a winnable game in the Champions League against Maccabi Haifa, but Danny, only 2 victories this season against Spezia and Sassuolo. We were saying that they are not going to lose against Monza. It's impossible to trust this Juventus, that's for sure.
And they were awful. I mean, what is a winnable game these days for Juventus? I don't know. It has to be redefined. Look, they come out of a terrible week. They lost to Benfica deservedly. They lost to Monza deservedly. They were outplayed. Everyone is calling for Allegri's head, but the Juventus management, they don't want to sack him. They're still waiting for the big players to come back, Chiesa, Pogba, etc. Okay, but I think Juventus obviously should do better even with the players they have. And I think the international break shows us how good some of the Juventus players are. Have you looked Kostic and Vlahovic playing for Serbia, giving assists, scoring, producing a lot of attacking phases? Is Serbia better than Juventus, man for man? Maybe not, but probably they know more what to do and they're better managed. Paredes had a good game with Argentina. Bremer got his first call up for Brazil. Bonucci with Italy did a good game. Give the assist to Raspadori for the goal against England. So they all had good individual games, if you like. Szczesny kept a clean sheet against Wales. So now they need to come out of the tunnel. I think the surrounding, the mood at Juventus has been so negative, the perception has been so negative, the way they play has been so negative. They have been underperforming. But I think, obviously, the talent is there. The good news for Juve is that now they're going to get back the injured slowly. So for this one, they got Locatelli back. Locatelli, won the Euros with Italy. He's a good player. Rabiot, Bonucci. As I said, they need to start playing better. They need to start being more on the front foot, press higher, don't leave too much space to the opposition midfield to play the ball around. Because by doing that, they will manage to recover the ball quicker, higher, and create more chances. I think Allegri has understood they has to play with 3 at the back, 3-5-2, Kostic and Quadrado, wing backs, and Milik alongside Vlahovic to help each other, and that's what we're going to see. Against Bologna, let's see, because Bologna, again, with the new manager, with Thiago Motta, I think they're in transition. They've got a lot of attacking players. Let's see if they're going to go more on the front foot. Against Empoli, they were a touch unlucky because they did create chances, and Vicario has been one of the best goalkeepers in Serie A so far. Conceded 6 goals in the last 3 away games, Bologna so far. Last season, though, was 1-1 in Turin. There is the hope that they're gonna be goals here, considering how much urgency Juventus should put on this one. So I'm gonna go for goals, but I'm gonna be cautious here. Over 1 goal in the first half, 188. So if there's only 1 goal in the first half, you get your money back. More than 1 goal in the first half, you win 188.
Very cautious, but still good odds actually for that market. Both teams to score looks good for Kishore. We have to remember that Arnautovic plays for Bologna, and he's the top scorer of the competition with 6 goals. Let's see this new Bologna.
Someone says win is a banker. I mean, come on.
For sure, it's not a banker.
He's a banker. Last week I said that's the safe bet. You are going to win a Monza, and they let us down. With you, as I said, the idea, Abdul, of a winnable game has to go out of the window for now.
Yeah, we saw the head-to-head between these two teams in the last 5 years. 9 victories for Juve, and the draw you mentioned the last game, actually. And we still have 1 game, Danny, on Monday, Verona, Udinese. Usually this is kind of a middle table game, but now we have Udinese, 3rd in the standings. Who know after the results? They could be on top. 5 consecutive victories, scoring a lot of goals, even against Inter, even against Roma. And this Verona is close to the relegation spots at home. They only got 1 victory, was against Sampdoria, 2-1. Perhaps, why not? With these good odds, we can trust Udinese away.
And I think Udinese are 2nd, 3rd in the table, not by chance. In fact, they are the 4th team for expected goals created. So the results they are getting, they're not just random. They play well. They pass the ball well. They are very fit. They run a lot, and they got players like Pereira, like Deulofeu, that, they might be a little bit past with age, past the best, but they can still do a very good job. Technically, they are really, really good. So I think, this is a team that has built a lot on the foundation of the Verona manager, Cioffi, who was managing Udinese last season. Strong defense, very technical, and, a few young players like Lovric, like Samardzic, that given time, they're becoming good. Verona, same style really last season. Aggressive, pressing high. Maybe they lack the quality. They lack the goal scoring, having sold Caprari, Barak, and of course, Simeone is going to affect them. But maybe this could be a chance for Simone Verdi, who last season was so important for Salernitana to be saved, to kick on and create a good partnership with Henry. No clean sheet so far for Verona. Udinese have scored 7 goals away. I think, again, it's difficult to predict. I mean, at some point, they might drop points, Udinese, I would imagine. Udinese to score the first goal, 187.
All right, for Abdul, more corners in the second half, and Wanchuk is saying something that I like, actually, that don't bet against Udinese right now, although this straight has to come to an end, of course. We don't expect Udinese to be in the top four. It's funny that this season they are scoring a lot, and last season they were struggling a lot to score goals. Well, finally, international break was over. We are about to enjoy the Serie A. Danny, we know that your safe bet is not going to be Juventus to win, but it's going to be
Lazio, Asian handicap -1, 168.
All right, you are very confident for Lazio to beat Spezia at least by 2 goals. And or 1 goal, you got your money back. And your ACCA, by the way, you got your ACCA right in the last international break, in the last video of the Nations League. And as we all know, there were many surprises. So well done, Danny.
Go for 4 games. Inter Roma, both to score. Lecce Cremonese, 1x, double chance. Sassuolo Salernitana, under 3.5 goals. Atalanta Fiorentina, both to score. Total odds, 6.33.
All right, Danny, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to leave us your comments telling us what you think about Serie A, and see you very soon. Of course, football is back with the club, so we are going to have a lot of fun this weekend. Danny, thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao, Edu. Thank you all. See you soon.